Alfie is a WOR race winner.
Jensen makes it 5 in a row.
Danny Berejnay wins on debut.
Shinaka returns to winning ways in WOR.
Season 12 sees a new man. It's Shadow. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jensen is the new king of PlayStation.
From the back row of the grid, against all odds, Nicholas Longy wins the title.
Goes past the safety car.
What has gone on here?
Firmament spins, stunning move from the Spaniard.
He's taken out Rambo. Here comes Longy.
We're going 4 wide down to turn 1.
Oh, he's taking him out.
The captain riders complete.
Tomek to the inside.
Shadow wins the Brazil. Absolutely sensational.
Good evening and welcome everybody to WR Tier 1. We are in the final race. We are at Saudi Arabia. I am joined once again by the ever incredible Ryan Jacobs. Welcome along, the original this time. None of those like 2.0 ones. But Ryan, welcome along. Hope you are well. From our chat before the stream, you've never really raced here. So are you looking forward to this one from a commentary side of things?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I've seen many races, especially last night as well in that Tier 2 race. We saw some controversy with Harvey's PC turning off, costing him the championship. So remember, we've got a battle for second place in the championship here tonight, and we could see some more controversy around that battle for second place. So Saudi Arabia is always a thriller, so I'm expecting some drama and a lot of overtaking.
Now, if my memory serves me correctly, I think it was Tier 3 in this, so that was at Saudi Arabia, so that was a few weeks ago now. There was actually rain at Saudi Arabia, so I wonder if we're going to get any. I'm just going to have a look in the chat and see if we've got a certain bobbers. We do have bobbers in the chat in the race, so we could get rain here tonight, and that would be something incredible in itself. But let's have a look at the standings, and obviously Otis Lawrence on 291 points. Ryan, that is something that is something incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, to dominate a championship like that is pretty unheard of, and Otis has literally dominated it from start to finish. It's every week. Who's going to win? Otis. Who's going to get pole? Otis. You just got fed up a bit, and fair play to someone to Otis to do that, because that's not easy to be that consistent at each round. We've seen drivers have had glimpses of quality, but they've never been able to deliver race after race after race. But Otis has, and you've got to give credit to that, and he definitely deserved the championship.
Now, having a quick look at the rest of it that's going on, Wilson is exactly 100 points behind Lawrence. So if you take away the first 4 races of the season, Wilson might be level on points with Lawrence. Who knows? But Scyther is only a further 3 points back. Obviously, Smokey wasn't there last week. Cost him the chance for the battle for P2. But Scyther and Wilson, look, neck and neck for this. Whoever finishes above the other should really claim that second place.
Yeah, and these two are going to really go at it here tonight, and I'm really looking forward to it. Both in PSR, both with the same engineers and whatnot, so it's going to be an interesting tactical battle between the two. Who's going to race harder? It's also going to be another question I want to be answered. I feel like there'll be great respect shown, but will we see some dirty little tactics? That's something that we're going to have to wait and see. Between those two, but we've seen battles from them in the past. They've always kept it clean, but they've always raced hard. So I'm expecting more of that tonight. And you know, 2 long DRS straights around here. There's going to be a lot of tactics coming into play.
Yeah, it's an absolute mental track, this here, the Jeddah Corniche circuit. And if you remember from last season, before we continue on about this season and another battle heating up, a certain Mel, a Finnish guy in an Aston Martin, took his one and only Tier 1 victory here last season at Saudi Arabia. It was round 12. And, you know, put a little bit of a... I'm trying to think. Maybe a dampener on Shadow's parade through the season. But I think everyone loved the fact that Mel won that race.
Yeah, it's like an underdog story like McCabe Sam of this season, getting big results and big points. Everybody was happy for him. I remember one man wasn't too happy about that one. There's Alfie Butcher, who I think had the win stolen away from him that season, and at Saudi Arabia he was absolutely furious. But there wasn't one man who didn't deserve it. It was Melanie, for driving a flawless race from start to finish, and you know, taking his chances. And everyone needs a bit of luck in league racing, but it's about how you utilize that luck. And Melanie took all of it by the grasp of his hand and took a very well earned victory that day. So you never know. We might see a little surprise from another driver here tonight. You never know. So let's keep an eye on it, because there could be a fair few crashes into the walls, as you know, this is a high-speed track and mistakes are very common around here.
Yeah, 27 corners, isn't it? It's tight, twisty. I tried to do some racing early around it just to get my mind on the mindset of a driver being so close to these walls, and I didn't get my rig out, so I was on pad, and that was probably the worst thing to do. Pad around here is horrendous. But you know, looking at it, that's you know, turn 22 was just after the DRS straight. It's so tight to the left hand side, but you can carry so much speed for it. But you've got to get it right, or otherwise that front left is going to go.
Exactly, and there's so many corners, especially through this first sector as well. On board with MVR Matthew right now on his outlap. This is such a crucial part of the lap. Through this first sector to get right, because if you carry the speed and take the right line, you can gain so much time, as you can carry so much more momentum down here. And I feel like at this track, momentum is absolutely crucial around Saudi Arabia, because if you can carry the speed for each corner, that's going to gain you more and more lap time. And that's where obviously I'd love to see Otis around here doing a lap, but he's going to do another lap of the first challenge to really entertain us here tonight again.
Yeah, let's stick on board with MVR Matthew then, as you know, it's great. Like I'm sure we mentioned time and time again, it's great to see him back, and to showcase what he is actually all about. Because he's had some bad luck, but he is such a he has got the talent behind him as well. So time will tell in this final race, and it could be perfect. You know, this could be a massive springboard for him into next season. Because okay, as from a WR point of view, we won't be here until probably second week of January, something like that. I'm not Luke, so I don't know. But all it takes is one good race at the end of the season can really springboard. Because you look at Elite or Otis, you know, he had a couple of good races at the end of last season, and that's probably springboarded him to who he is now.
Yeah, exactly. Confidence and building momentum towards the end of the season is so crucial to go into that new season fresh and full of confidence as well. Otis had a new game as well to get used to and whatnot, but at the same time, I feel like that end of the season in WR definitely gave him the confidence for this season to really make a step forward, and hopefully we'll see that from a few other drivers here this season. MVR Matthew definitely going to be one of those drivers I feel like we've got to keep a close eye on next season. Hopefully he sticks around and completes the full season, and you know, really is competitive, and hopefully Santa comes to Otis and gives him an EPC so that we could have a really good competitive grid. Although this is super competitive, it could be we could have a really good close title fight on our hands next season. So hopefully we can have that if Otis gets a PC and really takes his skills onto an even harder grid in WR PC Tier 1. So yeah, it's definitely going to be exciting to watch the likes of Matthew and PSR7, hopefully some tier 2 guys as well, and that might get promoted. Like we saw Levi last week put in a solid performance at Brazil.
Yeah, Levi showed incredible pace, and just everything about him really was great last week. And let's go on board. PSR Sav, good to see Sav here, even though he was a little late to join the lobby. But the other battle that I wanted to speak about is PSR Nick versus LCR Leopard, because there's 2 points between them. They're side by side on the track right now, on the timing board there. They haven't set a lap time yet. But Leopard's had such bad luck this season, and Nick has now come in and been absolutely flawless most of the time he's here. He had that brilliant second place. I can't remember where it was, but I just remember him. I think it was Japan. He was just hounding Otis, and then obviously took that victory as well. And it's looking like another Otis Lawrence in the making.
Yeah, definitely. Nick is putting in the hours. I remember doing some practice lobbies with him for Singapore, and he was, messing around because he wasn't sure he was going to race, but he was still putting in good lap times for like on the day practice. So he's definitely got the potential to be a WR champion certainly next season, and he's stepping in the right direction to really challenge for a title come towards the next season. So let's keep a close eye on what he's able to do here tonight. And obviously you've got to feel bad for Leopard, but at the same time he hasn't been able to sort out his qualifying issue this season. He's really not been able to make any inroads on that. He's always been outside the top 10 most of the time, and that's really, I feel like, put him in that position where he's in that midfield pack where it does get really, really dangerous. And once you get in that position, it can be very hard to avoid certain incidents, and that's why you got to put in a good qualifying lap to make sure you don't get put involved in the mix of those drivers that possibly get involved in incidents.
Now, just seen the Rainmaster of Bobberts putting himself into P11, Levi into P12 there. Not a lot of decent times at the moment. And was that Connor getting in the way of an Aston Martin there? It must have been, because Toodie's was still looking absolutely racy through that. So I wonder if Toodie was going for a second lap. I'm not 100% sure there, and Connor could be in trouble if he was, but I doubt he is, because he is dropping himself straight into the pit lane. So hopefully Connor is all good there. Connor's now set, going on to a lap, the Ferrari driver. Another driver who's not had the best of seasons, but we've seen glimpses of how good he can be.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of those races wasn't even in WR. It was in that WR PSGL social event when he had that unbelievable performance for WR, getting that second place. Unfortunately, just really hasn't been able to use that pace in other rounds. And Connor definitely has that potential, and for me, definitely he's one of the, if not the fastest pad driver on this game, on Xbox that is. But pad's just really not been too kind this year. For some of these drivers, in Saudi Arabia, it's not going to be any easier for him to really hook up a lap at. So I wouldn't really expect Connor to really do as well as he has done in previous rounds at Saudi Arabia. So keep a close eye on him. You never know. Connor definitely does like to throw in a few surprises here and there with some certain performances.
Now, to take you away, from the action a little bit, qualifying in this lull period, because obviously drivers are swapping onto tyres. Obviously, we'll see how Connor, Nick, Wilson, Finbob and Akos all do, as well as Quantum, because Quantum's back out again as well. But on Twitter earlier, I saw that the Alfa Romeo tweet, and I asked you what track you would want to fight off against Joe, but I obviously, I said the Hungaroring, and you've gone Canada. But if you were going to do one track, 1 versus 1 against Otis Lawrence, where would it be?
That is a good question. And again, I'll stick to Canada, because Canada is my bread and butter. It's the one which I just had so much confidence at. It's the one which I knew I could just pick out a result. I obviously gonna boost the ego a little bit more in SRC that win there. So if there's any chance I'd have a beaten Otis, it probably would be at that People's Track in Canada. So yeah, that'd be the one place I'd feel like I'd stand a little bit of a fighting chance against him.
Now I'll post it. I'll post it. I'll ask the chat as well. Chat, if if you had a 1v1 chance, and don't say Shipyard or wherever it is on Modern Warfare, I can't remember what that map is now. But if you could do a 1v1 on a track against Otis Lawrence, where would you do it? Because it's how many races have you won this season? It's 8 or 9 in Tier 1. It's absolutely incredible. And he's only had one DNF to his name, and that's Brazil. And he looked like he could have won that Brazil race.
Yeah, exactly. And quite a few people saying Monza. Well, Crispy saying Monza, and then Monty thinking he's funny, of course, making a joke about the track. But yeah, it's interesting to see where people have their strengths and weaknesses at as well. But I don't think there's any weakness to Otis's game. He seems to me that he's been able to hook up every single track and being able to deliver flawlessly every single time, no matter if it's raining or it's dry. You know, it could be snowing on the track and you'd probably still be able to hook up a good lap on it. And he's just that consistent at each track now. It's quite frightening, to say the least. But if you're an esports academy, you've surely got to be knocking on his door saying, right, sign this contract now. We want you in the next 2 years to represent us, or whatnot, because he's definitely going to be on that grid. It's just a matter of time for him. And just on board now as well with Finn Bob, cutting that bit through Sector 2, just going completely off the track and somehow not invalidating. So the AlphaTauri looking to set his first lap off the session, come around the final corner now. This corner I always found was quite difficult because there's so much pressure on you to get it right, because you can carry so much momentum down this straight to really deliver a lap. And he goes up into P2 there for Finn Bob. That's really surprising, but that's an incredible effort there from the AlphaTauri.
Finn Bob doing a great job. I think I saw in the chat as well, the Discord chat, him saying beforehand that he actually felt good around this track, and at the moment it's looking good. Akos put himself into P4 as well. Sider well ahead of Wilson. Wilson's been unable to open up his account for timings at the moment, with 7.5 minutes left of qualifying remaining. Levy, everyone I think is out on track setting a sort of lap time now. Levi, sorry, PSR Levi is currently 15th with 28.9, not showing what he was capable of last time out.
Yeah, Levi definitely has got a bit of work to do. And there's Matthew again, going even quicker than the rest of the grid. He was 3/10 clear in that qualifying from his banker lap time, and now he's extended it by another nearly 5/10. So that's really impressive there from MVR Matthew. He's really setting the tone very, very quickly here. Nobody's really been able to get close to him. I'm really going to have to keep a close eye here on both PSR Nick and PSR Wilson. I feel like those guys are definitely going to be the ones that will be able to challenge him. But that's an unbelievable lap time there from MVR Matthew.
Yeah, this is showing what Matthew can do, and maybe this, you know, like I mentioned earlier, this is the springboard he needs. But look at the time between Sav and Akos. That is ridiculously close in itself. But what can Levi do? Across the line, it's P8 for him. He's kind of redeemed himself after that one. Let's see, Bobberts then. Bobberts is a next car to cross the line, I believe, with our lap time. The McLaren driver currently sitting P14, a 28.2 to his name. He wants to go a little bit faster than that, but it looks like he's harvesting down the straight, so he could be going into the pits. And that is exactly what he's doing. So let's go on board with his teammate. PSR Nick, last week's race winner, and the race winner at Mexico as well. So the South Americans... I've been singing PSR Nick's name by the looks of things.
Yeah, Nick's definitely going to be delivering a good lap around here. Getting really tight to the wall on that right-hand side. I always find that fascinating, how close everybody gets to these walls, and they really attack the corners and attack them aggressively. And there we go, skimming the wall again. Really just giving himself no room to make any kind of error. One snap of oversteer, and that's his lap completely finished again, getting nice and close to this wall to open up the corner as much as possible. Going to use a bit of that inside, doesn't use a bit of that inside curve, just rides it perfectly. Again, that's a good middle sector from Nick. Again, he'll keep a close, tight line to minimise the distance before opening up the corner once again, taking a wide line at this final corner now. Again, got to get it right to make sure he carries the momentum, but once again, getting as close to that outside wall as possible. Opening the DRS now, coming up to line, see what PSR Nick can do. It's going to be a 1:26.930, and that was the kind of lap time I was expecting there from the German.
Absolutely incredible. Leopard, his rival in the championship this season, only P13, with Wilson going to P4. A few places above, 3 places above Cider, his P2 championship rival. So it's all heating up a little bit towards the end of this qualifying session. Connor, I believe, is out on a lap again. He's actually invalidated, so he's not out on a lap. Cider's done 2 laps on his set. So Pierce on Nick. Let's. Is he? I don't think he is going again. Surely not.
No, he's definitely not going to be going again. I think he's going to get into low fuel mode. He's just pushing to get back in because the time's definitely running out. These guys, I don't think Cypher will be able to make it round because he's in low fuel mode. Now he's got no ERS as well, so I don't think Cypher will be able to improve, and that's going to make his life a lot harder. I've seen him in another league getting a race win here. I think it was another team tournament for PSR. So the race pace is certainly there, but I feel the qualifying pace for Cypher definitely does lack around here, and I feel like it's all down to confidence. And I feel like if we just saw an Otis Lawrence lap around here, we'd be seeing literally millimeters away from the walls around here, and I really wish we could have saw that, because it would be a special lap from Otis.
Yeah, that's the only problem with Otis trying these the last to first challenges, is we don't get to see his full capabilities, and this is definitely one track I'd love to see him really go hell to leather at. But it looks like, I think it's going to be Magician then, GGYT Magician, to set the first of the final laps with 2 minutes 58 seconds of this qualifying session remaining. While he's just about to do that, I think it's going to be a two-stop. It's definitely not going to be a two-stop strategy. A one-stop strategy. It's 25 laps, so looking, if they start on hards, which I think they probably, or the majority of them will do, is likely to be a lap 13, 14 pit. I could be completely wrong, so I'll ask. I'll see if you agree with that one, Ryan.
Yeah, it's most likely the time I'll see most of these guys pit. Some of them will probably try and extend and get really good tyres toward the end, because obviously having the freshest tyres towards the end of the race gives you an advantage everywhere. But again, if you can manage the tyres throughout the race, although Saudi Arabia is definitely not one of those tracks which is easy to do at, it's definitely a killer on the fronts and the rears, because you're always having to turn the car really aggressively to make sure it just plants and sticks when you want it to respond. So going to be interesting to see how they're able to manage their tyres as well, because the mediums, once they get onto there, will be certainly a new level of grip, whereas the hards will feel like the car does not want to turn and does not want to stick whatsoever, especially in this opening phase of this race. Remember, no formation lap, but the tyres will obviously be at a certain temperature as well, so they'll be looking to get into the groove straight away. And once you get into a rhythm around Saudi Arabia, it's very hard to get out of. So once you're feeling it, I feel like it'll just definitely be quite satisfying for these drivers to really stick close and try and make as many moves as they can.
So both Magician and Quantum have invalidated on their laps. Could very well be Bobbitt's the next car, or the next driver, to do something. He's currently P16, having a little bit of issues back there at the moment. Connor also has yet to set a really competitive lap time, but McCabe Sam is in the pit still, and I don't think he's going to get a lap time in.
Yeah, I heard Monty saying he's apparently asleep right now. So instead of doing a qualifying, Sam's done a Kimi Raikkonen and decided to sleep before the race, which is quite an interesting strategy there from McCabe. He's obviously going to want to do a last or first challenge with Otis Lawrence, which is quite interesting, but at the same time, hopefully he does wake up in time to actually do the race. Otherwise that'll be a bit awkward for the rest of the field, and he'll probably get disqualified. But anyways, on board with MVR Matthew right now, he's just invalidated on his final runs. That is going to be Matthew's qualifying, and he'll at best be P2.
It's not ideal for him, especially seeing as he was looking like he was going to be one of the ones to really watch. I wonder if he's going to get over the line in time to start again. But there goes Bobbitts across the line in P13. Where is Matthew? Is it going to be enough time? Oh no, he is. Oh, he's well away. I was looking at the wrong number on the wrong driver on the map there, and unfortunately, Matthew is not going to get another lap time in. Nick's not going to go any quicker either. So if Sav or Wilson can pull an absolute incredible lap together, we could see someone different on pole tonight.
Yeah, Sav was up by a tenth and a half through sector 2, approaching sector 3. Apparently, he's kept that same time, so he might be close to NVR Matthew. How good was his final corner? We'll have to wait and see. Coming up to the line for the Haas, man, it's enough, but still just about P3 there, just falling short of NVR Matthew's time. On board with Wilson now, purple middle sector apparently, 70 thousandths up. Is the Alpine. What can he do about PSR Nick being on pole? He's going to have to find a few attempts in this final sector if he wants to seal pole position away.
Yeah, he's got a bit of time to gather. He has just been passed on the timing board, though, by Smokey, his long-term or long-season battler. But PSR Wilson across the line is P3. He dispatches Sav as well, and is even closer to Matthew, but not close enough. Scyther, he did manage to get out in time. He's round turn 27. He's coming down the start-finish straight. I think he's made a little bit too much of a beeline to the pit wall there, and he can only manage P6, and that's Scyther, and that's pretty much qualifying over and done with. But I don't think Bobbett's or Quantum, or has Quantum actually gonna? No, he's invalidated again, and Bobbett's is going slow, so that is qualifying over and done with. And well, without Otis Lawrence around, PSR Nick has grabbed the headlines. But do you think Matthew might have got the pole if it wasn't for that late invalidation?
Yeah, but possibly so. He was looking to be on a good lap. He was pushing the limits. That was for sure. And I saw Nick, for some reason, did not want to set that final lap. He decided to go really, really slowly up to the line, up to the final corner. And then he took a really wide line and just didn't go for that final lap, which I found was quite surprising. But yeah, he was around 2 tenths up through the first sector alone before that invalidation. So he was on for a very, very good lap time if he was able to stick within the white lines there.
Right, here we go. Here's the qualifying grid then. It's Nick from Matthew on the front row of the grid with Wilson and Sav on the second. Then it's Smokey and Scyther, Levi and Amin, Finn, Bob and Akos rounding out the top 10. Then there's Finn, Choco, Bobbett's, Leopard, 2D, Quantum, Connor, and they're the next 7. The guys that haven't been able to manage to get a lap time, that was Sam and Magician, with obviously Otis Lawrence doing his usual last to first challenge. Now he's won the championship. He only needs 9 points to get into an exclusive WOR club, which is getting 300 points in a season. Do you think is that capable of him tonight? Because there is such a... Well, it's like Monaco in a sense, this track. Yeah,
it is, just with a bit more of a straight and a bit more places to overtake at. I definitely think he's going to be able to do that. If there's one man that can certainly join that club, it'll definitely be Otis. And he'll deserve it as well. Like the season he's had, he definitely deserves to be a part of that elite group, you know, getting pole at literally every round and before, you know, doing these last to first challenges. If he really wanted to, he could have kept going and doing that, but for our entertainment and for the viewers at home, he's decided to make it a bit more entertaining for us. So yeah, I think if there's one man who can do it, especially from last as well, it will be Otis. So we'll have to keep a close eye on him, and let's see if he's able to do it.
Right, while we wait for them to get themselves ready, do the final touches, who's going to take victory here tonight?
Ooh, good question. I feel I feel like it's got to be Nick, because the confidence is flowing through him, and when you're a guy who's got so much confidence, it's very hard to knock him off his game. And you know, him getting pole once again, and remember at Brazil, he pulled a 6-second gap before the safety car. Maybe it was up to even more than that. And then once the safety car came back in, he then pulled another 3 seconds on his teammate. So I've got to go with Nick on this one. But again, you can't count out Matthew. That was probably one of his best ever qualifyings of the season. So it's going to be a very hard fought battle between those two. Right,
chat. Questions over to you. See who you think is going to win tonight. I'm a bit skeptical of choosing who I think is going to win, because usually I curse whoever it is. But and I don't want to curse him. But I am going to say I think Matthew's got a real great chance of winning tonight. Now, if he crashes out, I'm going to turn the stream off and run away, and I hope I don't get caught. I hope I've given myself a plenty of head start. But Matthew looks good. That last invalidation, obviously, we're not, it's mentioned that he was 2/10 up, and Nick obviously doesn't have that last time to go off, so we couldn't really compare the two. But again, Otis Lawrence can't be counted out either. I reckon if things go smoothly, we could see him on the podium.
Yeah, definitely. Let's keep a close eye on what Otis can do. As now, I hand it over to you for the race start.
For the final time in WR Season 13, Tier 1 is on the grid. We've got 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And how is this one going to pan down? It's a pretty quick start, and I think it's a poor start. Unfortunate for, in the background for Sav, who's I think has been overtaken off the line. And there's an incident in the back, which I know you've seen. There's two Alfa Romeos, Finn Bob fighting away with his teammate Levy, and again switchbacking between the two. Talk us through it, Ryan.
I mean, it's just he turned in too early for the corner, or he's been forced into the wall. Into turn 1, he just went into the wall and has got massive front wing damage. He's lost his whole front wing. Choco also getting tangled up in that, as well as Quantum. Few cars definitely got wing damage. Connor now getting overtaken by 2 cars. Otis Lawrence down the inside of both Leopard and Connor. What an effort this will be if he's able to pull this one off. He certainly is. He's already up into 13th place. He is absolutely flying, this Mercedes man. And now he's going to be on the back of Tuddy.
Now, this is something I wasn't expecting. It's very, very reminiscent of Brazil last week. Up a number of places from the start, but I do feel for Quantum, Choco and Amin, who has struggled from the get-go there. Magician up 3 places as well. McCabe Sam looks like he has woken up, and he is up into 17th now. But let's look at it from an Otis Lawrence point of view, because I don't think Tuddy's got much defence as he comes down into turn 26 and into turn 27. That is another position for Otis Lawrence, and the 2 Ferraris in the background swapping places as well. But let's, while we've got a break in the action from Otis Lawrence, let's see what his team, let's see what Finn Bob, can do against his teammate, because those two were swapping around quite often at the start of this, or at the start of this race, which was only a lap ago. But it's great to see from Finn Bob.
Yeah, definitely, especially after that poor race at Sao Paulo last week. He'll certainly be looking to build on some momentum here at this final race at Saudi Arabia to head into the new season. Finishing on a high is always a good feeling for any driver, and so far he's certainly on a mission right now to really get that result. Akos as well, he's another driver we've got to keep a close eye on in P10 at the minute, onto the back of VSR Finn, who's also had a interesting season to say the least. Ups and downs for that Alfa Romeo driver across the board this season, so sadly for him, he'll definitely be looking for a new start next season to really maybe challenge for a top 5 position possibly in that championship. But as it stands, Nick and Matthew neck and neck, with Wilson just holding on to the pair of them in front.
Let's look at it from an Otis Lawrence point of view again. Actually, I probably should have stayed on Finn, because he's he's all over the back of his teammate yet again as they come through the tricky turn 22 to 24 bit, and it looks like he could try and make a move through 25 to 27. He gets very close to the back end of his teammate, but nothing doing on this occasion. But look at that in the background. Otis Lawrence going around the outside of 27 on Bobberts. Bobberts has given him enough space, and that is a great bit of overtaking. If it's going to be pulled off by Otis Lawrence, I don't think Bobberts has got the pace. He's done and dusted. Otis Lawrence up into P11, and Bobberts is fighting back.
Yeah, he really is. He's not giving this one up without a fight. Trying to hold it around the outside of Otis Lawrence and not being able to do so. The McCabe Sam fans will be furious that he's retired, but it's understandable having no setup. So that's a shame for him, and maybe lesson learned for next season, not to fall asleep in qualifying. But what a move that was from Otis Lawrence. But keep a close eye on that ERS usage, down to 40% already. Everybody around him got around double, apart from VSR Finn, who's been struggling to keep with Finn Bob and his colleague of Levi. The 2 AlphaTauri's got some cracking pace between the pair of them, and one driver who's struggling, who would certainly be flying around here, is Cypher, losing touch to PSR Sav. But remember, he crucially does have quite a bit of ERS to utilise, but he has to be in that DRS range sooner rather than later.
Another thing to worry about for that, and actually let's look at, before I go there, Otis Lawrence already attacking his teammate, trying to find a way through. The champion is desperate. He is trying to get himself some wonderful points tonight. He's just outside the point scoring position. He's pretty much pushing the other Mercedes around this part of the track. Is there going to be a move around the outside like we saw him do on Bobbett's? He goes for it. He has to switch it a little bit. Maybe a switchback is on through the exit of turn 27. But there is just not enough there, and Matthew is trying to keep up with Nick, but at the moment it's easier said than done because Nick is just going quicker and quicker and quicker. Mercedes battling it out again. No team orders in the Mercedes this time around, but around the outside of turn 1, the inside of turn 2, he's going to possibly push that Mercedes a bit further out wide. There's a little bit of room between the two of them, but one of them's got to concede. Surely around here, surely not. Otis is fighting their way through. My goodness me. Contact, but Otis prevails.
What a battle that was between the pair of them. Great respect shown. It was inevitable to have some bit of contact through that first sector, but fair play to Otis and fair play to Akos. They really gave it their all, and Akos really did not want to give that one up without a fight. But what was mesmerizing to me there was Otis was gaining on Akos without even using the ERS, and he was getting slipstream as well, Akos, off the car in front. So it just showed you how low wings Otis is really running around here, because look how close he is already to the back of VSR Finn now. But crucially as well for Otis, Finn is out of the DRS range now, coming up to this second DRS straight here.
Wilson's under pressure from Smokey. We're going to go on board with a different battle. I know Finn is going to be overtaken shortly, but here comes here comes Smokey on Wilson. The move is done before 27, and that means Wilson's going to have the DRS advantage as they come down the back straight. The start-finish straight, sorry. Surely Wilson's going to get the move done into turn 1. I think he's holding back a little bit. He closes the DRS early, so that is him happy for the time being. Maybe a little bit of ERS saving for Wilson. Connor getting a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pits and retires. That is his top 10 finish in the championship under threat, because PSR Sav is currently P5.
Yeah, it's a shame for Connor, but not surprising to say the least. He does not like this track on the pad, and he just wanted to get it out the way as soon as he could. But that's a shame for Connor in the Ferrari to finish on such a low. But Otis is doing an unbelievable job, already closing up to the back of Finn Bob, his colleague in FRA. So he'll be looking to dispatch him as soon as he can. But remember, he's got to use this ERS wisely here, down to around 20%. He's got to make sure that he saves some of that ERS to go on the attack later on.
Yeah, he's got to be careful. Let's go back on board with him for now. Bobbett's was trying to get close to Akos, but it just wasn't happening. Smokey pulling away from Wilson a little bit through that middle sector. Wilson could be in a little bit of trouble here. Otis is within the DRS range of Finbob ahead. Finbob looking very racy still. This is great to see from the FRA driver. I don't want to call him a junior driver because that might sound a bit rude, but he's definitely not on the level, unfortunately, as Otis Lawrence, but it's all looking great at the moment. Nick still leading the way by half a second to Matthew, if that now, but they've got a 2.2 second gap to Smokey in P3.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a really interesting battle unfolding between the battle for P3 at this moment in time. Cypher doing a good job to hold on to Sav at the minute. Remember, he was nearly out of the DRS at one point, and he's had to use some of that battery, as I know Cypher really tries to hold on to his DRS as long as he can, and only utilises it when it is necessary. So it's very interesting to see as well. Otis has now got within the DRS, and he's nearly half a second behind his teammate already. But another thing to note is the setup differences as well, which is quite clear to see from some of these drivers. A lot of them running lower downforce, whereas some, I feel like Wilson, certainly run a higher downforce, especially to utilise through this middle sector, as well as the first, to really try and keep nice and close. So keep a close eye on that. And Otis has already got a 3-second time penalty. This is absolutely huge for the race, and that is an unlikely error from our champion.
Maybe that added pressure of starting lower down has caught Otis a little bit out there. Scyther, just to remind you, the battle for P2 is between Scyther and Wilson. Currently, Wilson leading that by 3 points, and at the moment, he's going to take second place of this championship and consolidate that from Sider, who is currently P6. Smokey, a case of what could have been for him. Matthew getting close to the back end of Nick. And is there going to be a position change? There is. Nick is a little bit unsettled with that and loses a position to Matthew. Matthew's starting to turn up the heat a little bit. Matthew looking strong. He's been biding his time, I think. And he's got a little bit more ERS than Nick. Nick could be struggling. Maybe we're seeing a fault for the German right now.
Yeah, maybe so. The McLaren certainly struggling a little bit with that ERS, but at the same time, I think he's just really been wanting to stick in front of Matthew than rather being his dirty air, especially through here. This long left-hander does not do the tyres any favours at all, and obviously he wants to lead the pack and lead the train and, you know, lead the pace. And now Smokey is actually closing in on both Nick and Matthew here, due to them swapping around, and maybe Matthew's just trying to utilise some of this clean air now, and utilise some of that ERS, and maybe try and drop Nick here.
Now this is interesting. Otis getting past Finbob, and I was just about to mention that the two drivers in 8th and 9th and 10th were Mercedes, and they both got penalties. But Otis Lawrence getting past Finbob has ruined my surprise of that. Not that it's really a surprise. Anyway, Otis Lawrence up into P8. I think Finbob making that rather easy for his FRA teammate to get through. And Otis now has Levy for company just ahead. And up in the foreground, Matthew and Nick swapping positions again.
Yeah, it's not going to do them any favours if these two keep battling it out, because it's only going to encourage Smokey to close in on these guys. And although if they just swap around each lap, they can certainly pull away from the rest of the field. But again, Smokey showing some good pace. But I feel, again, like you said, Wilson is now probably using Smokey. He's got double his ERS. Being in the DRS obviously recharges the battery a lot faster. So really smart decision there from Wilson, knowing he's probably maybe not as quick as Smokey at certain points of the track. This is a really smart tactical drive here from Wilson.
Wilson doing everything he can just to make sure he's second in the championship and by the end of the race. But there's one thing we've barely spoken about. Well, actually, we haven't broached the subject at all. A safety car can just change everything on its head. And it could mean the likes of Choco, Quantum and Amin, who are battling away down there. That's Choco in a wall as well. That could cause a safety car. Speaking about it, anyone might think I need to buy a lottery ticket and get the lottery numbers out, but there is no safety car just yet. At the moment, Sider desperately needs to get a wiggle on and get himself through some of these cars, because he's going to lose that P2.
Yeah, and one man who's on a mission, making moves left, right and centre is this man, Otis Lawrence, in P8 at the minute. Will he be into P7 before turn 1? We'll have to wait and see. Going to go to that his favourite outside line. He's been going there every single lap for every single overtake. This time, Levi just placing the car in the right place, the right time, making that AlphaTauri as wide as he can here, and making sure that Otis cannot get through. A little mistake though, on the exit there off that right-hander. Again, making some mistakes, and Otis is just applying that pressure more and more. You can see through this middle sector, Levi is not comfortable whatsoever of just hooking up, but it's getting a good exit every single time on these DRS straights. So again, he's just able to defend quite comfortably, and once the car's in front, he can just utilize his battery, which he has been saving accordingly, to defend from Otis.
Another deep into that corner there, and Otis Lawrence is through. They're both going to be using ERS to their advantage, but Otis is up into P7. Sider next on his list. And if you take your mind back to Monza, Sider and Otis were battling away, and there we have it. Maybe I should buy a lottery ticket. We've got a safety car.
Yeah, it's Choco who has caused it, and he's caused it on a straight. I feel like that must have been done on purpose there from the Haas, because there's no way you can crash there, because it's a straight line. And again, he's all over the place, is the Haas, and he's causing some issues here. I'm not sure what is going on for Choco, but now the safety car deployed, everybody is coming into the pits.
I feel like this is a little early. Finbob stays out because he was the second driver of the Alpha AlphaTauri's there. But, yeah, oh man, is this early? Could the mediums should be able to get to the end, but they're not going to be nice tyres to be on at the end of this Grand Prix.
No, I think as well they'll be banking on another safety car, a lot of these guys, and going to be hoping for around 3 laps, I'd say, behind this safety car. And if they do get those 3 laps, then they could be in business. Some of these guys, oh no, never mind, this was a tyre graphic glitch for me. I thought they were on the softs for some of these guys, but no, a lot of these guys all going for the medium tyres. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of strategy they might choose from here. But yeah, definitely, I thought we're going to see an investigation into how that safety car was caused by Choco there.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Amin and Quantum, they needed a safety car to get themselves back into this race. They've gone for hards. If they can keep up, if they do everything they can to keep up, they were in with a good shout here. But I know the rest of the grid probably are hoping for another safety car. Finn Bob definitely wants another safety car because he's in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel Finn Bob will definitely be praying to the gods now for another safety car. The AlphaTauri didn't want to get held up and then have to work his way back through the grid, but these things happen in league racing, and you know, Cypher took the hit, and to be fair, he didn't take that big of a hit because he's just got right behind Levi when he was in front. So maybe, just maybe, Finn Bob should have decided to follow his AlphaTauri teammate into the pits and just took the hit rather than having to pit now and be even further behind.
Yeah, such a shame for that. Let's see what Finn Bob does. Does Finn Bob actually pit now? That's the other thing. He's technically led a lap of a Grand Prix, and I know he's going to be over the moon with that, because you don't get to say that very often in Tier 1 of WR. No, he won't. He will go into the pits, and he's going to be so far behind.
Yeah, these are the calls you've got to make sometimes in league racing, and sometimes you can get rewarded, sometimes you don't, and this time Finn Bob has unfortunately not been rewarded for taking that risk, and yeah, all the way down to P15. I feel like he would have been better off sticking out, following his teammate in, than sticking it out for another lap, because now he's down all the way to the P17. That is not a nice feeling. Actually gets, he's side by side there on the exit, sorry, with the Alfa Romeo, but just gets in front. But that's not nice. After all that hard work and qualifying, just got all undone for the AlphaTauri man.
And some great race pace for him as well. It was incredible through the early stages of this Grand Prix. We're going to get underway probably at the end of this lap, which means these guys will be doing 14 laps on a set of mediums, which is possible, but they will be pretty tired at the end of the race. It'll be interesting to see how it will all pan out. Matthew and Nick, well, we're probably going to see those two battling away again, but will we see, because Smokey wasn't there before, will we see Smokey attack along with them this time around?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what Smokey will do. I feel like he's now in the DRS. He's just got to make sure he sticks in the DRS. That's the Red Bull man, because if he loses it, then they'll just go off again. But Otis has been a massive winner in this, up into P5 now, jumping Cypher without even having to overtake him, so he'll be certainly happy about that one. There really could be a chance for an Otis Lawrence win here now with this safety car.
Now, the safety car is in this lap. I somehow called that one correctly. If you're Nick, when do you go? Do you go at turn 27? Do you go before turn 27, or do you go a little bit further down the road at the start-finish strip?
I feel like you've got to go as late as possible around here, because you know it's a long time to turn 1 and from turn 27. So if you go at that corner, you're going to leave yourself massively vulnerable, in my opinion, to another car.
Well, he's gone early.
But he's gone really early. That's really surprising from Nick, and he has caught Matthew off guard. He's got a big enough gap that he really does not have to worry. 7.5 tenths for Nick. That's an incredible restart. Sometimes you just got to go early.
And Otis has already picked off Wilson in the background. Tudi's in the pit, and there's someone else making moves as well. I think that's Akos and Leopard battling away. They're side by side through turn 2. Into turn 3 they go. And that is not good news on my side because the batteries are low. But I think Leopard has managed to get past, and the Haas driver of Choco is going to get in the way of these two. They're still battling away. But Leopard up into P8 with Scyther still in P7 and dropped by Levi.
Yeah, it's a surprise to say the least. Again, he's so conservative on the battery. He does not want to use it, but he needs to. Crucially, already out of the 1 second range, he'll be out of the DRS, so that's bad news for Cypher at this moment in time. But now, again, Matthew as well, applying the pressure to Nick, around 3 tenths behind him, both using that battery efficiently, but Matthew down to 68%. He's determined to apply the pressure to Nick and force a mistake from the McLaren.
Oh, that was a beautiful timing for my battery to die, but Matthew attacking Nick. I mean, are you still happy with Nick to be the race winner?
Oh, now Otis Lawrence is offered to P4. I would say no, because he's now really on course for the race win. He's really going to upset the bookies, that is for sure, and especially my bet is now most likely going to be out the window because now he's 3.5 tenths behind VSR Smokey. He is closing in and closing in fast.
This is crazy. This is exactly what we want at the Jeddah Corniche circuit. Continuing battling. Leopard still sticking ahead of Akos at the moment. Choco getting a 3-second time penalty for his troubles as well. Finn is pitted for softs. Choco getting another penalty. He's not having the fun time at all. Tudi back in the background there. Getting a penalty as well. The penalties are coming thick and fast. Otis, with that penalty hanging over his head, has a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, he certainly does, and I wonder if he'll be removed after the race, because remember, he was getting pushed off quite aggressively. I remember side by side with Akos. I wonder if the stewards will see in his favour. But now look at the front. Matthew again all over the back off that McLaren's rear wing. Nick's going to be checking those mirrors left, right and centre, because it's only a matter of time now, surely, for Matthew to get past the McLaren. But at the same time, look how close Smokey is following them. We could see potentially 3, maybe even 4 wide between these guys here.
So down into turn 26 and into turn 27. Otis is making a move on Smokey. Smokey's gone defensive into 27. Otis doing what he's done so many times around the outside. A little bit of a back end wobble. But this is going to be crazy as they come down the start-finish straight into turn 1. Let's look at it from Smokey's point of view. The DRS is enabled this time. Smokey's going to hang it up the inside, but it's going to be all about Otis Lawrence holding that inside of turn 2, and I think Otis is going to have it. They're still side by side. Choco's retired down into turn 4, and that is a concede from Smokey.
What a battle. That was intense from start to finish, and somehow Matthew's still behind Nick at this moment in time. Both not wanting to swap around at this point of the race. Really does surprise me, to say the least. But Otis, what a move that was, and fair play to Smokey. He fought that to the death there, making sure Otis had just about enough racing room there. You can see how much Otis is pushing, losing it on the exit there, catching a massive snap of oversteer, and that was a massive save from the Mercedes, who's now already onto the back of MVR Matthew.
Yeah, Matthew, I think, probably didn't want to see Otis behind him for a lap or 2 more. So it's interesting. Now, this will be an interesting play from Matthew. What does he do? Does he put up a big defence against Otis, or does he decide, you know what, let's let Otis have a crack at Nick, and I'll pick off the pieces. But doing that could mean Otis flies away and never to be seen again. But it's gonna be interesting. These probably are the fastest 3 on this circuit. Let's wait and see what happens. Otis getting very, very close to the back end of NVR Matthew. Is he gonna defend into turn 1? He is. He's gone massively defensive. And actually, he's gone for the move on Nick. Looking at it, and he's been clipped by Nick.
That's absolutely huge. Matthew's gone spinning around. He went deep into turn 1. Nick really had nowhere else to go. He had to concede the position, but that Otis Lawrence presence has caused a massive collision between the pair of them. And now Nick has got a lot of work to do if he's going to be able to keep up with Otis Lawrence now, because Otis is in clean air, but at the same time, he's only got around 20% ERS to play around with, so it's going to be down to pure pace now between the pair of them.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. I only had it from the back end of Matthew looking backwards into turn 1 and 2, and yeah, I'm unsure. I will let I'm not a steward. I'll let the stewards decide what will go on with that one. Nick, 7/10 of a second behind Otis. He's slowly catching back up, but Otis trying to turn the screw now.
Yeah, he's definitely applying that pressure to Nick at this time, and it's a bit of a mistake there from Otis there on the exit. Before this locked DRS straight again. This is where Nick is going to close it up to the back of the Mercedes. Mercedes going a little bit defensive, parking it in the middle. Nick wanting that DRS, interestingly enough, taking a wide line so he can open up the corner before getting on the pound nice and early. Using the DRS once again, using the ERS, going to the outside line, and he breathes past the Mercedes, back up into first.
Yeah, exactly what he needed to do, really. Matthew back into P5. With his Williams teammate behind him. I wonder if there's going to be any Williams team order. I doubt it in the grand scheme of things, because PSR and NVR nothing to do with each other from that side. But obviously, Scyther and Wilson have that battle for the championship as well. And I think, will a 4th place finish for Scyther and a 5th place finish for Wilson still mean Wilson gets that point, gets that second place in the championship? It does, doesn't it?
I believe it does, and Wilson will certainly be hoping that Matthew can keep Seifert behind for as long as he can, because once maybe Matthew gets past Wilson, we could see a real good fight between them two. And Magician, I feel, has gone into the wall. He has. I think there's wing damage possibly on that front wing of that Ferrari. Certainly might be light wing damage if there is. Or it was just a spin there from Magician. It seems to me it was just a spin, thankfully for him. But at this moment in time, again, Nick now going to be checking his mirrors because Otis is about to pounce.
Otis going to do what Otis does best and stick behind. He's done what Nick did last time. Wait and then attack down the start-finish straight if there is enough pace to it. He's low on ERS is Otis. He's not as close as Nick was the lap before. So that is interesting. Maybe Otis will stay behind for the time being. Wilson gets close to the back end of Smokey, but there's nothing doing on this occasion. Leopard, Levi and Akos all battling away for the battle for P7 as well. Otis gets close again to Nick, but the out-and-out pace isn't there at the moment.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to say the least. Otis maybe just tactically saving the ERS at this moment in time before maybe once he gets to around the 50% mark, that's probably when he'll decide now is the time to go and really go on the hunt and try and pull away from Nick. And you know, at this moment in time, he's doing a good job, to say the least, is Otis Lawrence, just really controlling his pace. But remember, crucially, he's got 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, this is nuts stuff, and I feel like I might have jinxed Matthew with my prediction at the start, and I feel terrible about that. But Otis Lawrence all over the back of Nick, and this will be a last to first challenge complete if it pans out. Let's just double check that. I don't know if I've got that wrong in my head. It's another safety car.
Yeah. I'm not sure what's gone on to cause that. It doesn't seem to me that anybody's gone round or anything. So there we go. Everybody back into the pits. Going to be another set of fresh mediums for PSR Nick. But Otis is crucially here, staying out.
So is Wilson. So is Scyther. So is Finn Bob. Finn Bob's back into this. He's going to be P4. He's going to be a roadblock for Nick, Smokey and Matthew to get through. I can understand why some of those drivers has come into the pits this late, especially seeing as the safety car came out early. This is interesting.
We'll have to wait and see. I don't think it will be, to be honest. I'm not sure, because their fresh mediums against their old mediums. It's going to be really, really interesting, because towards the end of this race, Otis, in theory, should massively struggle. 8-lap older mediums against fresh mediums, and crucially, some fresh softs. This is going to be a really interesting end to this race. Leopard and Smokey, both on the soft tyres.
Yeah, this is a very, very interesting end to the Grand Prix here. I don't think we were expecting 2 safety cars. 1 safety car, definitely. I think Saudi always has that one. But yeah, two's an interesting one. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know how exactly this will play out. Smokey on the softs is going to be such a key part to this race, in my opinion. The way it's all going to unfold, because he will be certainly quicker than Nick, and he'll be certainly he's had good pace. He hasn't been able to be faster than both Nick and Otis on pure pace, but with these fresh softs, surely he will be able to utilise them and really make his way through the front of the grid.
Well, Crispy's saying that it's quali soft, so that's an interesting one. If it is quali soft, they will be very, very, very tired towards the end of this Grand Prix. We will have to wait and see, though. I mean, obviously, last safety car, we saw Nick go early. This one, do you see Otis going late?
Well, that's what we're going to have to wait and see how this will really all unfold between Otis and the rest of the grid. I feel Otis might do something similar. He's done it before where he's gone very, very early, but you never know with this guy, because he loves to throw a spanner into the mix. He always likes to do the unthinkable, does Otis Lawrence, and I could see him going very, very late, or like again with Nick, very, very early.
Yeah, it could be an interesting one. I doubt we'll see him go mid corner on turn 27, but it should mean we get 6 racing laps here. I think the safety car is going to come in this lap. I think we're going to get 6 racing laps, which means we get 4 laps of DRS enabled, and that means Otis will have to really put the hammer down. Sorry, I know he's in a Mercedes. It's likely to be Lewis's car as well, but he really will have to push it in, and that's the safety car message in this lap. I wonder how slow he's going to go down this back curve.
Yeah, that's the question. Safety car is now in. Let's keep a close eye on Otis, because when he goes, it's going to be the key to this race, because he's got to either really back up the pack now, because the safety car still is yet to get into the pit lane. He is now into the box, so he is going to go very, very late by the looks of things as Otis. Probably go up just before the line, and let's see when he decides to go. He goes now, nice and early. Nobody was caught out by that one by the looks of things. Cypher's had such a good restart. He's already alongside his championship rival for P2. Let's see how this all unfolds. Neck and neck between the championship rivals, and there's nothing in the background. Bob gone into the back. That's front wing damage to the AlphaTauri, and VSR Smoke is into the wall. Oh my goodness me! He's got too impatient. He's trying to take it early on these fresh softs, and that is him into the wall. But the Red Bull man, it's all kicking off. Matthew now up into P5. Nick into P3. He is flying. It's a McLaren man, but crucially, Otis Lawrence is already out of the DRS range of Wilson.
Oh my goodness, what are we going to witness here? Are we going to see a start to last the first challenge? Wilson's holding up Nick. It's 1.6 seconds at the moment. Nick is desperate to get past his PRS colleague. Cyther's in there as well. Akos is into P5, but look at the gaggle of cars that are following him through. Smokey there, Leopard in P8. He is going to be absolutely fuming, but PSR Nick finally gets past Wilson. And will Wilson do anything as they go down into this corner? I don't think Wilson's going to actually attack too much. But is it going to be too little too late? Or is the fresh tyres on Nick going to be far more superior than Otis Lawrence is just ahead? It's 1.9 seconds at the moment. Do you see Wilson really attacking Nick? Or is the major red alert for Wilson is Cyther behind him? Surely he's got to attack Nick.
Yeah, I feel he's going to have to, but at the same time, they want a different race winner here on the final round. As you can see in the background, Matthew is going side by side with Akos there. Matthew losing a position there to the Mercedes. What a move that was from Akos. I feel like he did overtake him there because I remember Matthew was into P5 and not sure what's gone wrong for the Williams, who's now down a position and seems to be struggling. Maybe he has some front wing damage. He does. Front right end plate is missing for the Williams from NVR Matthew. Must have picked up some damage in that final sector.
Yeah, such a shame for Matthew. What an unfortunate race. He's now holding people up, and that's gonna be absolutely mental. Wilson in P3. He's got to stay ahead of Sider. Wilson, that is Wilson's at the moment his saving grace is that he's pulling away. Nick 1.2 seconds behind Otis Lawrence. We are going to see fireworks at the end here. VSR Smokey going around the long way around Matthew, and Matthew really struggling there. He's got Leopard all over the back of him, as well as Levi. Such a gutting end for Matthew. It shouldn't have ended like this for him.
No, but one thing to keep a close eye on is Nick. He's now onto the back of Otis Lawrence here. Otis must have made a mistake, surely. It's the fastest lap there as well for Nick. Maybe it's the old tyres versus the fresh, but my oh my, what a turn of events! And now Nick has also got a penalty! Oh my goodness me! PSR Wilson might just get his first win of the season, I believe. That might be right or wrong, I'm not too sure, but Wilson could either be on for his first or second win of the season here.
Matthew is holding up loads of people in the background as well. It's just a gaggle of cars. There's too much going on. I've got to go on board with Nick. That penalty has spiced things up a little bit. Wilson, I believe, has had a win this season already. So, yeah, it will be nice for him to have a second victory this season, but he's just got to make sure his job tonight is just beating Cider. And the two ahead, well, they're going to be battling hammer and tongs, and if they come together, it's going to be, well, fireworks. That's the only way to describe it. Nick, 0.2 of a second. It's closing to Otis, but nothing doing at the moment. He is absolutely flying, is PSR Nick. He could get 3 wins on the bounce because of it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to check it. Possibly could Otis Lawrence have some possible front wing damage? Maybe that would explain the drop in pace, or it just is really down to these tyres, which certainly seem to be fading away. Look on the front right tyre there, the blistering on that Mercedes certainly does not look appealing. That is definitely the right strategy call, McLaren. Otis has got to use the ERS efficiently here, and he's got to attack PSR Nick at the right time, because Nick might just be able to pull away through this first sector.
Now, Otis looked like he purposely let Nick through at turn 26. Maybe he's trying something. Leopard's retired, so he's had an incident. That is unfortunate for him, but definitely not what he would have wanted. Otis still battling away. Finbob, the fastest man on the track. He's had a nightmare of a second half of this race, but he's doing all he can at the moment. Otis keeping up with Nick at the moment, but look at that. They're 3 seconds clear of Wilson already. But does Nick have a possible penalty hanging over his head because of the incident with Matthew earlier on? We just don't know. We don't know if Matthew will even ticket it, submit it to the stewards.
Yeah, that's the thing. We've got to wait and see what he decides to do. But Wilson has been dropped out of the penalty range of both Nick and Otis right now. This is quite scary, to say the least. The pace of these two. Oh my goodness me, we could have a scintillating season next season here in WOR. These two are going to have a battle like this. It could be Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton-esque between these two, and if this is what we're getting a glimpse of next season, I am certainly all for it. But now as well, onto that battle for P2 in the championship, Wilson versus Cypher. This is going to be a feisty final 2 laps.
Where do you watch? Do you watch the two drivers who are quite clearly the fastest on the platform, or do you watch the second place battle in the championship? I haven't got a clue. I'm just going to stick on board with Otis Lawrence because at the moment he's staying behind Nick. He's half a second behind Nick at the moment, and Levi picking up a penalty for his troubles as well. Otis might get that 3 seconds removed. You quite rightly said earlier on with him being pushed out wide. We just don't know. Scyther 0.4 of a second behind PSR Wilson, and will finish ahead of Wilson because Scyther's had better finishing results this season. He's had, I think, something like 5, maybe, I think it is 5 second place finishes, while Wilson has only had the 1, which could very well have been, was it Singapore Wilson? No, Wilson was, I can't remember. I really can't. But we'll wait. We'll keep an eye on Otis Lawrence because I think this is his time to pounce. This is the only time he's got really to attack Nick. He's going into the final lap of the final round here in WR Tier 1. He hasn't made the move. And in the background, Scyther is getting close to Wilson. Will he dart up the inside? He thinks about it, but he doesn't.
No, but look at the ERS as well. I think Sniper really did bait Wilson into using that ERS, and now it's all going to be to play for. Will Wilson tactically let Cypher pass? I'm not too sure. He hasn't got the ERS to play around with here, does Wilson? He's got to use it at the right place at the right time. This is going to be a fascinating final few laps, but Nick has crucially dropped Otis Lawrence. When have we ever said that this season? Nick has dropped Otis Lawrence here at the final round in Saudi Arabia. But now, crucially, a fantastic exit there off that long left-hander. Otis is back within the DRS range. Maybe this battle is yet to be finished. But my, oh my, what a sentence that was. Because when have you ever seen Otis Lawrence being dropped from somebody this season?
Yeah, the fresher tyre is definitely helping, but it doesn't make that sentence any less appealing. Otis Lawrence in trouble. It looks like he's going to finish P2. It's been an absolute fight from him to get up the grid. Scyther being dropped by Wilson as well. Wilson really being helped by Akos, who is all over the back of Scyther. But it would be amiss of me not to go on board with these two. PSR Wilson, it seems like a handing of the baton because Otis Lawrence will come home the champion of season 13, but it doesn't matter because PSR Nick wins the race. That is a very, very hectic Akos car in the background. Scyther coming home P4, but crucially, P2 in the championship, P3 in the race. Wilson, he's going to be absolutely over the moon with that.
Yeah, he certainly will be. That's a great achievement for Wilson, considering the season he had at the start. He'll be certainly happy with that one to take home second in the championship. Had a lot of ups and downs this season. He'll certainly be taking that victory over his teammate and looking to build some momentum into the next season. But that was a great battle towards the end. I think Cypher ended up in the wall because his car went ghosted on that final lap when I switched back on board with him. So maybe, just maybe, Cypher did pick up some wing damage on that final lap.
A little bit of redemption for Matthew getting the fastest lap of the race at the end. I wonder if Sav will take it either, but he won't. Crucially, finishing in the top 10 in the championship is PSR Connor. After Sav not getting any points. Wow, what a way to end that. I thought it was certain Sav was going to get that, but PSR Nick, 3 wins on the bounce. That is what it's about. He's following in Otis Lawrence's footprint. Basically in his footprints, because there's only been one other driver who's won multiple races in a row, and that is Otis Lawrence. Surprise, surprise. But what a race for Nick anyway. Winner and absolutely incredible incredible race in general for him, and chose the right strategy. Cool. Otis Lawrence in second place, and Wilson rounding out the podium. Scyther in 4th, 5th place going to Smokey, 6th Amin. He was nowhere at the start of this race, and he's got some more points. That's great to see for him. Akos in 7th place, 8th to Levi, Finn in 9th, and Bobberts getting some points in the end there as well. And that is your rest of the finishers, and we will wait and see if there is anyone else. We will wait and see to see if anyone will join us for the podium questions. but I feel like we should get some of these guys. They should join us for this because it's the season finale. Everything is done and dusted. And to tell you what, he's here already. He's had an absolute incredible race. And Ryan, I'll hand over to you to have a chat with him.
Yeah, well, what a performance that was, Otis. 20th to second, not quite the race victory you might have hoped for here tonight, but take us through that race, especially that opening lap for me. Seeing the carnage on that into turn 1, having to avoid that, just take me through that opening lap.
Yeah, it was very chaotic. Chaotic first lap. I think I gained like 7 positions in the first lap. So yeah, everyone was a bit aggressive into turn 1. This is the last race. Everyone's desperate for points to beat each other. So yeah, I'm very happy with the result and maybe get a P1 after the stewards reports.
Yeah, just take us through that decision as well on that second safety car, deciding not to pit. What was the thought process behind that one? Maybe was it because you just felt you might have had the life left in the tyres to obviously hold off Nick, or what was the reason to not follow Nick in?
Well, I didn't really expect them all to pit because I thought it was only Nick was going to pit and everyone was just going to stay out, but it turned out to be the opposite. So I kind of regretted it. I think I would have kept up with Nick at the end if I had those really good tyres such as he did. So regret it now a little bit, but sometimes you just gotta gamble it, and sometimes it won't always go your way. So just had to try something as nothing to lose anyway.
Yeah, Aaron, I'll hand over the final questions to you.
Possibly the last time we'll see you on WR Tier 1 turf, and it's been a hell of a season, but talk us through it. Obviously, you've been so dominant, but was there any points that you thought, I don't know how I've become this good?
I don't really know how to answer that, to be honest with you. No, I don't really know how to answer that. Yeah, it's just felt really confident this season with the car and everything. A lot of practice has gone into trying to win this season, and yeah, luckily I came out on top. For me, anyway, I came out on top, and yeah, it's been a hell of a season, absolute mad season.
If you could point out one race this season, you've had a fair few race victories, but what has been your most entertaining race?
Probably Miami, when I think I capped the field by like 18 seconds, so it was probably my best race of the season. This was one of my most fun races as well, going through the pack, and yeah, these two I reckon I just mentioned.
And now what's there for you? What is what do we expect from Otis Lawrence from 2023?
Well, I don't want to have a massive ego in me, but just gonna keep driving as fast as I can. Try and win as much as I can, and yeah, until I go to PC. Yeah, I just gotta try and win every race. That's all I want to do really at the moment.
Wow, congratulations. The WR Tier 1 champion, ladies and gentlemen. Otis Lawrence, you have been absolutely incredible. I don't think either myself or Ryan have commentated over someone that's been as incredible as you this season.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
Right then, Ryan, we've got a couple of people waiting in the interview box. I don't know if we do we.
I'd say we had to take
guys?
one more person. One more person. Choco, I think, has to sit it out after a poor performance, in my opinion. This at Saudi Arabia.
Oh wow. Okay. So I feel sorry for Choco, but let's get Matthew in here, and I feel like I should run away because he's I chose him for the race victory tonight, and it hasn't worked out, and he got caught in trouble. But Ryan, over to you.
Yeah, Matthew, first of all, what are your opinions on Warder cursing you for that race win? You were having some flying form, setting, provisional pole position, and then invalidating that final run. You're on for pole again. You showed glimpses of, throughout that race, of certainty for the win, and obviously that's incident with Nick as well. Just take us through that qualifying, first of all, and how you're really feeling hooking up that lap.
Well, thank you. The qualifying was definitely the highlight of the day. It's fair to say that, but no, my qualifying pace felt really well. It was unfortunate that Valde on the last lap was nearly 2/10 up, but it is what it is. P2 was good enough, but unfortunately, Nick was just Nick. Yeah.
Nick was just Nick. The new Otis is just Otis kind of saying. Just take us through that race as well. You were having an unbelievable battle with Nick from start to finish there. Is that something we could see more of next season with you?
I'd want to have a good battles next season, yes, but I'd want it without the contact. It would make the race a lot more enjoyable. It was inevitable. Sorry, today. It wouldn't have been a race without contact, because most weekends that's what happens. But I just got a tail on the chin and realised that pace was good enough for the win, so fastest lap at least.
Yeah, positives to take into the new season. Before we head into that one, what will be your goal? Definitely to be aiming for the title?
It's always the goal, but you've got to see how the first few races plan out. Depending on how they plan out. Right now it's for the title, but if the races aren't the best, then it's just top 5, top 10 really. But obviously the title's the one thing I want to win, but with Otis probably staying on Xbox for a bit longer, it's highly doubted.
Yeah, Gareth, got anything to add?
Matthew, it's been a massively topsy-turvy season for you, but you've shown glimpses of just how much potential and how good you are. Obviously, you want that to continue into 2023. You mentioned Otis not sticking around onto Xbox a little bit longer, but you've shown paces you can keep up with him and bat with him good races. Do you think? I know you've kind of written yourself out a little bit, but if things don't go bad, can you challenge him?
I don't see why I couldn't. If things are going well, I feel like I'm improving every race. Obviously, this is my first full season and there's no assists, etc. So I'm always learning every day. So I think next season I'll just come back even stronger. Obviously, I'm going to be focusing on challenges as well if I can end up getting that. Yeah, I'll just hope for the best.
And lastly, I mean, what are we going to be expecting from Matthew in 2023?
Multiple race wins is what I hope. That's my goal, just to win a race. I know I won in Britain, but the penalty got me. But I just want one win where I know I deserved it. There isn't any penalties. I thought today might have been the day, but yeah, Nick. Yeah, I'll hope for next season.
Well, congratulations, Matthew. I know it hasn't been the best of seasons, but you still managed top 10 through all the heartache there, and hopefully you don't feel too bad about me cursing you in that one. But good luck for what the rest of the year holds and for 2023.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for streaming. It's been great to watch.
Right, then. Thank you, Matthew. Ryan, I guess it's back to us now. Choco's disappeared, so wow, what a way to end the season. 2 safety cars, no rain. We didn't get rain, but yeah, Otis Lawrence nearly managing that last to first challenge, and that would have just cemented his legacy here in WOR. I mean, it's pretty certain anyway that he's going to be going down in the history books for a long time to come. And he's gone into that 300 point mark here in WOR as well in a season. 309 if things stay the same as they are, and that in itself is absolutely incredible. What a season for the young man.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be definitely one to put on the CV, the highlight reel. this season. The amount of overtakes he's had to make, barely any, until these final few rounds, where he's doing these last first challenges, and people always judged him, saying, "Oh, he's a qualifying man. He doesn't overtake, and he doesn't need to because he always puts himself on pole." And now we're seeing that overtaking ability as well. He's got that racecraft, which we didn't see from him towards the end of that last season on Xbox on the last game. But now we've really started to see it from him, and it's quite frightening to say the least. And I feel like a lot of these esports guys are going to certainly be worried about him when he does decide to move to PC, because he's got the pace, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for him.
He definitely does have the pace, and it is quite scary from a commentator's point of view as well. How much further can he go? Because it's it's just machine-like. It's just so consistent, so on it all the time. It does remind me of Thomas Ronhaar and how good Thomas Ronhaar has been. And it just, hopefully, it means that F1 esports is just going to continue to be getting better and better and better. And people aren't just going to be going in the chat saying, "Where's Yano?" all the time. It's probably going to be where's Ronhaar, or I can't remember what esports commentator it was that was going like Runhaar, Thomas Runhaar or whatever it was in the first race of the esports series. The amount of times I've messed up people's names, I shouldn't laugh, but it is quite funny. Yeah, okay. I know you've missed a few races, but your highlight of the season, please, Ryan.
Oh, you put me on the spot there. I feel like, there's been so many races where there's been entertainment from start to finish, where it's so hard to choose. But definitely these final few rounds, there's certainly some unbelievable ones. I'm just going to get the calendar up because I definitely remember each race, but it's just remember the rounds and whatnot. But I feel like we certainly had some good ones. Brazil was definitely a good one, and maybe I'll be a little bit biased. Singapore, I thought for myself, was one of the best ones this season. There was a comeback story, from a certain driver who, was nearly a lap down and then, got back into the points. So, to put myself aside, I'd probably go with. I actually thought Brazil was definitely one of the most entertaining races this season. Because seeing Otis, get put backwards, come back forward, one step back, one forward. I thought Brazil for me, and maybe Singapore, one of the highlights this season.
Some cracking races, and Brazil definitely up there. We had a great one here tonight as well. Miami going back to round 3. I think that was a cracking race as well. I know Otis Lawrence enjoyed that one as well, 18 seconds in the lead. And Chandler Sater overtaking Otis on the first lap. I remember that. And then Otis deciding that he was far too good for that. Silverstone, absolutely incredible race as well. Monza is going to be stuck in my memory for Otis making an incorrect decision and Cyber making the correct decision. But for me, I'm going to have to stick on Brazil because there was so much going on for Brazil, and it was great to see. Unfortunately, I think that's about it for us, Ryan. It's been an absolutely incredible season. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. We'll have to wait and see what next season brings, who's where, what's what with the commentary positions, but I'm sure we will definitely see each other, definitely in the commentary box again. But thank you very much. Any final words from you?
No, just thank you very much to Luke and yourself for this opportunity. I thought it was unbelievable to commentate over this grid, and hopefully I can return again for another season of commentating on this fantastic platform and getting to see more and more talent come through.
Well, we see time and time again that Xbox is definitely the best platform out of the PlayStation Xbox side of things, and it showed a month ago. Definitely rewatch that one on the YouTube channel of WOR as WOR beat PSGL, mainly down to Otis Lawrence, but also PSR Connor, who finished 10th in the championship overall after tonight as well. But it has been absolutely fantastic. I'm going to echo Ryan's word. Thank you so much, Luke, for sticking by me in Tier 1. I've thoroughly enjoyed this season. It has been incredible. But WOR action does not stop. I am back on Friday night for the WOR Legacy Division, and Otis Lawrence still has a chance of making history there in the first season. So make sure you keep an eye on Twitter, keep an eye on YouTube, whatever, all the social media, Discord. to find out all the race information. It's going to be a cracker. But thank you from Tier 1 for this season, for Season 13, for the last time. Thank you so much, and see you in the next one.
Alfie is a WOR race winner.
Jensen makes it 5 in a row.
Danny Berejnay wins on debut.
Shanaka returns to winning ways in WOR.
Season 12 sees a new man. It's Shadow. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jensen is the new king of PlayStation.
From the back row of the grid, against all odds, Nicholas Longy wins the title.
Goes past the safety car.
What has gone on here?
Bourbon spin.
Stunning move from the Spaniard.
He's taken out Rambo. Here comes Longy.
We're going 4 wide down to turn 1.
Oh, he's taking him out. The captain riders can win. Tomek to the inside.
Shadow wins at Brazil. Absolutely sensational.